Yeah, let's start with this question.
Mm-hmm.
How did you feel when you graduated college?
How did I
Like
feel?
you like the not like immediately, but how did you feel like after a week when it, that moment that hits you is like, I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be an adult from this point on? Or what, tell me about that experience.
Yeah. I was really excited. I am a person that, especially when it came to my life in my younger years, I had plans. I knew what I wanted to do. I made plans to get those things done. So I already had a job when I graduated. I already knew where I was going to live. I knew who I was going to live with. And it was just a matter of us getting literally out of the dorm room and into our apartment. So my week was spent going to my first job, staying at a hotel for a week until our apartment got ready, and just going into this world, this environment, being excited about it, um, never having any kind of apprehension about, oh, this is scary. It was just kind of, this is what you do. It
Hmm.
really, that's what it was for me. It was just kind of, yeah. I think some people, are you coming back home? And I would say, for what? So I was already like, I'm ready to take on the world. And this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So it's just a matter of me taking these steps. Yeah.
And are you naturally a person that reaches out to create friendships?
No.
Um, okay.
Well, in some ways, yes. I said that, but then let me take that back. Yes. If I see someone that I think that I want to get to know, I might approach them. I might start talking to them, have a conversation with them, but it has to be somebody that's in close physical proximity. So back in college, it was my roommate because she was right in there with me. But it wasn't me bouncing around campus like, oh, look at that. No, it was like who's ever right close by on the hallway, in the dorm room, in a class sitting next to me, that it had to be that close. Yeah.
So what did that look like after college, when
Hmm.
it wasn't as close to create friendships?
Yeah. What it looked like was, it happened at work. So when I was in the workplace, there was, even though social work is seen as a very female driven industry, but when you go into a hospital system, or a school or something, you have all kinds of people there. You have a variety of people, um, and so you know, what I did was, well, what happened for me, I got a job at a nursing home right out of college. And there was another young lady working there in the recreation department. And so we did a lot of collaborating and talking about, how to help the residents, be as vital as they could be. And so we began to talk about, well, you think you might want to go to the mall, after work one day, or you might, do you want to go out for, a cocktail after work? So what it did, it shifted from in that little dorm room or right down the hall to who's next door to me at work. So that's how it happened for me. Still that close proximity, and then I would meet people that were connected to those people. So I met this lady at work. She has a few friends. We'd invite out my roommate, her friends out, then we all go out and hang out. That's how it would look. Yeah.
So was there, because it wasn't that kind of built in, natural built in connection, and oftentimes if you have listened to our past conversations, you know that we have discussed there's a element of vulnerability
Hmm.
comes with creating new friendships when it's not within your comfort zone, right? So can you talk about a little bit about that piece of it, being vulnerable, being open to asking and hoping to
Yeah.
create this friendship that keeps on going, them being as interested in creating that friendship as you.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I never felt cautious or fearful. I think because I have had relationships that have been very intense since I was a very little girl, it was easy for me to, walk up to somebody, invite them somewhere, and if they said no, then no, okay, that's no big deal, okay, and it was easy for me to move past that or move on from that. It wasn't really difficult. Um, I was still, the one thing that I took away from it, or what I would do, is I would still be, of course, polite and cordial. I never really took that personal that I can remember. Everybody's not for everybody. So yeah, everybody didn't want to hang out with me just because I'm so fun and amazing. Didn't mean that I was their type of person. Or maybe they were a little bit fearful of entering into new relationships and didn't know how to do it. So they would be like, "Oh no, I'm gonna go home after work. Don't work, girl. No, I'm okay." That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I never really thought about it much past the, well, no, I'm going to do something else, because I had other friendships to go home to.
Mm,
So that's, I think, a big piece of it. I wasn't alone. I wasn't isolated.
hmm.
I had all my friends from my core group that we've talked about before on here. That you have these phone calls every day almost with all these various people. So there was always somebody that I could connect to that was a friend of mine. I wasn't alone, and I think that made it easier to manage when someone didn't want to connect with me in the way that I wanted to connect with them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell me this, and I don't know if we've mentioned this before, but what kicked this off, just to give everybody a little history, is we had a conversation. You mentioned to me there's this great book about big friendships. Um, we both were like dove into it in hopes of creating Friendship Examine.
Mhm.
And in that book, it talks about when you start new friendships, what that friendship is going to look like, identifying what that friend is to you. Is
Mhm.
that a creative friend? Is that a friend that you're going to go deep with, right? Is that a friend that is going to be your brunch buddy? So, can you speak to that kind of journey of identifying
Mhm.
these new friendships that you were creating?
Yeah, I can tell you that it wasn't something that, it's not a conscious thing. It just, whatever connection that we make in terms of what we have in common and how often we get together or do that thing, and what kind of conversations we have, is kind of what leads me to identifying what kind of friendship that I'm in with someone. So um in a lot of ways, I feel like it's the energy that passes between me and the friend. So if I invite somebody out to, like, I had a friend back in right after college at work, that we started talking about music and the artists that we listen to, and we found out that we both loved Rochelle Farrell. I'm not sure if you're familiar with her. Oh, well, there you go. So now we have something else in common. See, you know. So we started talking about her as just one of the folks that we just love, and she came to town, and we were like, we should go to this concert. We need to go and see what this woman wants to sing to us about. And so we did that. We got together, got the tickets, we went to the concert, we had a great time. The next interaction that we had outside of work, she said, "Hey, I'm cooking some dinner. Come on over to my apartment. Come to my place and we'll, hang out, have some cocktails, I'll cook some food." So it was this sort of passing of energy between the two of us. So it's sort of like I offer one thing, that person reciprocates, offers something else. you say, okay, yes, I'll do that. And our relationship really got pretty deep because we were able to get really into some intimacy. We didn't just say, oh, let's do cocktails after work. And the only time that we would talk would be at work. We started calling each other on the phone after hours, well, after work hours, started going out more and more, doing the things that we found that we had in common. And so to my mind, there was a depth that was developing there. So I was like, oh, okay, well, this is a friend of mine, not just an acquaintance or a coworker that I just happen to go out and, eat lunch with, every day, 4 days a week or whatever we used to do. So it was sort of organic in my mind. And then I didn't really say, this is my friend. I think internally I said that, but I didn't say, okay, this is what category she's in. you know
Yeah.
it hasn't happened that way for me, or well, at least I don't name it. I mean, there are folks that are certainly acquaintances of mine and not friends of mine, but I don't say that. But I also don't run around calling them a friend. I'll say, this lady I know, or this woman that I do this thing with, which I think kind of sounds rude, but but that's the way that I name the relationships. To
Yeah. Yeah.
be totally
So
honest.
I think what you said was interesting. And you said um, we got deep. And I think when we're pursuing friendships, there's this hesitation of, do I like, is this oversharing? Do I go deep with this person?
Mhm.
Um, some people overshare too much too quick. Some people, So can you speak to how to understand your boundaries and how to kind of protect yourself and identify who's safe to share with,
Yeah.
who can I go deep with?
Yeah. I do this a lot with my clients. I talk to them about dipping their toe in the water, sharing something that they feel safe to share, that's not too personal, but personal enough that they can kind of feel it, and then see what that response is from the person that you're sharing it with. So you're making these observations about how are they responding to what I'm saying, um, or and ask, you know, man, I really feel, connected to you, and I want to share this with you. Do you mind? And that's a level of vulnerability, because then you're really intentionally stepping into the thing. And then also you observe, and you listen to people when they talk. So I have a friend here who we would go hiking every week. That's really how our relationship began. We would hike and walk. I mean, hike and talk, hike and talk, hike and talk. And over time, it just got, a little bit deeper, a little bit deeper, a little bit deeper. And I would do a lot of listening so that I could really hear and learn who she was as a person. I have another, and so from that, we both kind of, I think I feel safe to share this with you. I think that I might want to tell you this. And then of course I'm like, go ahead. I'll let you know if it's too much for me. And so that's kind of how we did it. We sort of asked each other, is it okay to share this? Is this all right? One of my other girlfriends that you met, she will tell you flat out, I don't like, small talk. If I'm gonna really be in relationship, I'm diving in. I don't want to just talk about the weather. I want to talk about life. I want to talk about, all things. And so she just kind of stated it. I'm not looking for superficial relationships. If I'm gonna be in relationship with you, and we're gonna be friends, then I want to know who you are, you know. Um, and after getting to a point of feeling safe, which took that whole, you want to come by my place? You think, you might want to stop over here? You order a pizza, you sit there, you watch a movie, you do these things, you do these big asks. I feel like some of those asks that I'm speaking of might be big for you, you know. to say, hey, let me stop by the house. Let's order some takeout. And then I feel like that would be like, oh my gosh. But those are things that are pretty natural for me because I had this foundation of feeling safe in female friendships from a very young age.